Hi there. Welcome in to the OUA basketball show semifinal preview, folks. We're getting down to the wire here. Let's get right into it because we're going to have a long episode this week. We'll start with the men's semifinals. Oh, my name's Griffin Porter, by the way. We've got Queens against Carleton at the Ravens' Nest. That's the first game we're going to talk. These two teams split the season series this year. They played each other twice, each team winning one. And now if you go back to their quarterfinal results, the Gales barely survived their trip to Brock with a 2-point win, while the Ravens had a slightly easier time as they beat Laurier by 13. But let's get back into those head-to-head results. Queen's star Cameron Bett, he combined for 57 points in the two games that the Ravens and Gales played this year. So Carleton's going to have to find a way to slow him down. He has had the Ravens' number this season. Now, like I said, they split the season series, and if you look at the two games, in the Queens win, they shot 44% from three, while Carleton shot 17%. While when the Ravens won, they shot 50% from three, while holding Queens to 31%. So keep an eye on the three-point line. The performance from both teams early on is going to let you know which way this game is going to go. Hit your threes, build up a bit of a lead, and more importantly, do a good job of holding the other team to a low three-point percentage. Now, our other men's semifinal is the Windsor Lancers heading all the way east across the entire southern part of the province to take on the Ottawa GGs. Now, they only played each other once this year. GGs took that win 74-66, and Guillaume Pepin, he got the better of the superstar battle with Thomas Kennedy on that one. So that'll be a recipe for success for Ottawa. Also keep an eye on Cole Newton for the GGs as he's coming in hot after he put up 22 points against the Bold last week. Now, Windsor used a team effort to beat Guelph in the quarterfinals, with every starter scoring 12 points or more. And for more of an insight into the Lancers and the way their season has gone, I talked to head coach Chris Cheng. Now, Coach Cheng was only available over the phone, so we've got some nice regular season footage of the Lancers here to accompany the interview. We had a really good chat. It's a little longer than normal, but I think it's really great. So sit back, get a glass of water, and enjoy. And joining me today on the OUA Basketball Show, it's our first ever coach to join us here on the show, Chris Cheng, the head coach of Windsor Men's Basketball. Coach Cheng, thank you so much for coming on.
No problem. Thanks for having me.
So you are coming to us today. You're on the bus to Ottawa right now. You're fresh off a win last week, a 19-point win over Guelph in the quarterfinals. I guess we'll start there. Did you get what you wanted from your team in that win?
I think so. I think we wanted to get better. Obviously we had to make some adjustments because they were our last game of the regular season, and we lost that game by one. They made a few adjustments in that second game. I guess they obviously learned from the first game, kind of exposed us in some areas that kind of brought to our attention, and we kind of cleaned those things up going into the playoff game, and saw them again. We made the right adjustments, and credit to my players for executing, and for majority of the time. I wouldn't say every time, but I think it was enough for us to get that win and move forward.
Now, a couple weeks ago on the show, I was talking to Sarah Gates of McMaster Basketball, and she told us about how the first round bye, like what that did for her as a player. I was wondering if you guys had that first round bye as well. You were the 3 seed in the OUA playoffs this year. How, as a coaching staff, did you guys use that bye, that extra time to prepare?
Well, we kind of just, first couple of days were just about us. It wasn't just about the opponents who we could potentially face. It was more about where do we need to be more efficient, how are we going to do that, at the same time being mindful of not going too hard and give enough rest for our athletes to make sure they have a clear mind and feeling good about their body going into competition. So just about fine-tuning, making sure that we're effective in how we want to score and how we want to defend, and just really focusing on us and getting better and building the confidence of our players. I think that's the biggest part, just a lot of film watching, a lot of one-on-one film watching, and again, just building their confidence.
Well, that seems like a great use of time to me. I want to rewind the clock a bit. After last year's season, you guys made the playoffs but bowed out early. You added 7 new players, which obviously is a lot of new players. Earlier in the year, did that present you guys with challenges having to incorporate that many new faces?
Absolutely. I think anytime you add players, it always presents challenges, and sometimes it's good challenges, and if it's good challenges, obviously those are good problems. And for us, as you mentioned, added 7 new players, and out of those 7, 2 being freshmen. I
Mm-hmm.
really didn't know where we could be. We kind of just figured out as we went along, and for me, it was just getting to know these 7 new players and know the personalities and know their game personality and how does that fit from a team cohesion standpoint, but also just our returning players from last year and how that's going to fit and all tie in. So definitely there were some challenges, and like I said, some of it were good challenges, and I think any coach would want those. And now you just kind of putting the right pieces together, and hopefully it fits.
Absolutely. Of course, two of those 7 players had NCAA experience. They were coming to you in Najee Brown Henderson and Daniel Cummings. You, as a coach, how do you help them through that transition from NCAA to OUA?
Well, I think it's really with those 2 is having a really early conversation about their experience and really understanding what their expectations are and how that translates to the U Sports level and how those expectations will translate to our team objectives and our mission and really getting on the same page. And I think that's the biggest part, and relying on their veteran experience and their NCAA experience to really bring that forward to our program, to the U Sports level, to help be the big brother to the little brothers on the team. And if you watch us play and you take a look at my coaching style, I give a lot of ownership to my players and help them problem solve. And Najee and Daniel are the ones that are the vocal leaders in that, and really helping each other out and helping the little brothers on the team, and really relying on their experience. I think that I would be a bad coach and a bad leader if I didn't use their experience to our advantage. But I think the biggest part is just having those early conversations and having those conversations often as well, and just getting on the same page and utilizing their experience and their skill sets and making sure that it's right for the team.
Yeah, I'm glad that you brought up that leadership aspect because that segues perfectly into my next question. I read an interview with you from last summer where you said Najee in particular is someone that you've always had your eye on, even when he was down in the States, both for the leadership aspect and, of course, his on-court talent. Has his year with you been everything that you imagined it would be?
I think so, and I think it's been more from his aspect. I think he came in with being optimistic about playing at the U Sports level, come back to Windsor. He's been 2 years removed from playing.
Right.
The pandemic wasn't good for anyone, and then he broke his foot, and he's been out for 2 years, so he was just excited just to get back on the competitive floor, especially back in his hometown. And his leadership is more about putting points on the board for us, getting our players involved, and obviously guarding their opponents' better guards. But he's also being great, in the locker room and especially off the floor and getting the guys together. He's definitely one of the guys that kind of keep the guys, on the same page. And yeah, he's just been really good. And I think, he's going to be good for us next year. But we're going to be relying a lot on him tomorrow night and moving forward.
Absolutely, and I know that you want to enjoy your full 7-hour bus ride, so I've just got one more question for you, but I couldn't.
I got all the time.
Yeah. I couldn't have an interview with you without asking a question about Thomas Kennedy, of course. He's had another brilliant year. He had that great experience with Team Canada earlier in the year. I think he's playing better than ever from an outside point of view, even as he's adapted to having these new, very talented teammates. What have you seen from Thomas Kennedy this year that, do you agree with me that he's better than he's ever been?
Yeah, and I think it's a credit to him. He's obviously put himself in these positions. He's earned the opportunity to not only play at the U Sports level, but play at the CBL level and represent our national team at the international stage.
Mm-hmm.
But what a lot of people don't see, and that I really want to credit Thomas for, is how genuine and how humbling he is as an individual. I've never coached someone that's just so down to earth. He's extremely competitive, as am I. We know we butt heads because we're so damn competitive. And people don't see that, but him and I have a good relationship because we're so damn competitive. But he's so genuine. He's such a pleasure to coach. He's such a great teammate. Him and I have built a great relationship off the court. We're golfing buddies, so we take our competitive nature onto the golf course.
Oh boy, I can only imagine how intense that must get.
Yeah, but he's a hard worker, and he has no entitlements. He always team first. He's not that kind of guy that demands the ball, even though he should at times. But he reads the room well. He's all about being a team player. He embodies everything that it means to be a Lancer, and frankly, what it embodies to be a student athlete at the sports level. I can't credit him enough for what he's done for the program. He has a bright future. It's because of his personality and the person he is. He's a true professional in every aspect.
Well, that's great to hear. We love having that inside perspective from you, and you win most of the golf, I'm sure, right? If you can stay silent if not.
Let's put it this way: he has more time to practice than I do.
Right, you're a hard worker.
So, but going back to Thomas, as much as I may have taught him on the basketball floor, he's taught me so much as a coach. Taught me so much as a leader. He challenged me more ways than one. I think that's what you want, especially from your best player, where you're constantly challenging one another and trying to find ways to make each other better. Off the court, he taught me how to open and close and maintain my pool. I've never owned a pool before until I moved to Windsor. He built my pergola in my backyard.
Wow.
He built my children's play set, my children's outdoor play set. He's a jack of all trades, man. This guy.
Yeah, Thomas Kennedy, a man of many talents.
Many talents. So him and I spent a lot of time together off the court where we built our relationship. And I think that's part of the reason why we're having such a successful season so far, just because, we've been on the same page. We understand each other's expectations. I handle it from a team aspect. He handles it from a player aspect, and we're always on the same page, even though, we butt heads because we're so competitive, and we're just trying to get the best out of our opportunity together, but more importantly for the Windsor Lancers program.
Absolutely. Well, Coach, I'm going to let you go, but thank you so much for joining us here on the show, and good luck against Ottawa.
Appreciate that. Thanks so much.
Thanks again to Coach Cheng for his time. Very nice of him to call in while he was on the bus like that, and I absolutely love getting the coach's point of view. It's so interesting to hear what they have to say. I should have known that interview would go a little long, though, because coaches, in my experience, tend to be just a bit more talkative than the players do sometimes. Moving on to the women's side, we're going to look at those semifinals. We've got Carleton hosting McMaster in our first semi. Now, these two teams met all the way back in November, just the second game of the year. Carleton did win for what it's worth, but I can't imagine there's too much from that game that'll still be relevant almost 4 months later. So instead, let's take a look at how both of these teams won their quarterfinal matchups. Big reason that the Marauders were able to emerge victorious over Guelph was because they got 29 points on 22 shots from Sarah Gates. And the Ravens had a very interesting path to victory against the TMU Bold because TMU's stars did show up. They got 42 combined points from the duo of Farwell and Foreman, but Carleton held the 6 other TMU players who got in the game to a combined 22 points. Just 22 points across 6 players. And I wonder if that's going to be their strategy again against McMaster, because we saw against TMU, they let the stars put up their numbers, but took away the supporting cast. And when you're facing McMaster, you have to know that Sarah Gates is going to get her 20-plus points no matter what you throw at her, because she's just that talented. So, but if you can take away that supporting cast, no single player, even one as talented as Gates, can beat you if you show up on offense. So we'll see if Carleton sort of has the mentality of, we'll let Gates get hers, but we're not going to let this supporting cast beat us. It'll be really interesting to see how Coach Sinclair draws up that defense. Now, meanwhile, in our other semifinal, Queens takes on Waterloo. Vanessa Hughes scoring 27 points for the Warriors in their quarterfinal win against Ottawa, while Julia Chadwick had 15 points and 16 boards for the Gales as they took out Brock. Waterloo going to have to stay competitive on the boards to hang in this one. We've talked all year about how talented this Queens team is. Waterloo hasn't gotten the love that they've deserved because there's so many good teams. It's hard to talk about them every week, but they're going to be able to challenge the Scales team. Be really curious to see how this one plays out. That's going to do it for us today. It's a long one. Thank you guys so much for tuning in, and I hope that you enjoy tonight's semifinals, and most importantly, stick around because before the finals, we're going to have a great finals preview. Get ready for that. In the meantime, thank you so much for watching. My name's Griffin Porter. You've been watching the OUA Basketball Show.